Brazil is on the brink. Former President Jair Bolsonaro is under house arrest, accused of plotting a coup. The judiciary is cracking down, the streets are in uproar. And across the world, Washington is watching. This isn't just a trial, it's a battle for Brazil's democracy. The stakes: power, justice, and the future of a nation. Brazil's Supreme Court has dramatically escalated legal pressure on former President Jair Bolsonaro, issuing a house arrest order as he stands trial for allegedly plotting a coup against the country's democratic institutions. The order, announced by Justice Alexandre de Moraes on August 4th, came just a day after pro-Bolsonaro demonstrations erupted in cities across Brazil, highlighting the nation's fierce political polarization. The court's action follows mounting accusations that Bolsonaro sought to overturn the outcome of the fiercely contested 2022 election, which saw the right-wing leader defeated by his left-wing rival, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, now serving as president. Senator and son of Brazil's ex-president Jair Bolsonaro, Flávio Bolsonaro, called his father's house arrest a display of vengeance.
What's happening in Brazil is regrettable. What he's doing to a former president of the republic who never challenged his judicial decisions is cowardly. He appeared in all those dozens of cases opened against him basically by Alexandre de Moraes. He could never be judging President Bolsonaro because he is clearly President Bolsonaro's public enemy.
Prosecutors allege that after his defeat, Bolsonaro and his supporters orchestrated an armed movement to challenge the results, culminating in the storming and ransacking of the National Congress and other key government buildings in January 2023. Bolsonaro has forcefully denied any wrongdoing, characterizing the charges as a form of political persecution. However, Moraes contended in his decision that Bolsonaro had flagrantly violated court-imposed precautionary measures restricting his use of social media and political communications. Citing incidents from a recent pro-Bolsonaro rally, Moraes argued that the former president deliberately flouted previous restrictions. In one notable episode, Senator Flávio Bolsonaro, one of the former president's sons, put his father on speakerphone to address a raucous crowd in Rio de Janeiro and later posted, then deleted, a video of the call.
The flagrant disregard for the preventative measures was so obvious that it bears repeating. The defendant's own son, Senator Flávio Bolsonaro, decided to delete the post from his Instagram account in order to conceal the legal transgression.
The house arrest places Bolsonaro under strict conditions. He will be required to wear an ankle monitor, is forbidden from using mobile phones either directly or through third parties, and may only receive visits from relatives or lawyers. All phones found in his home have been seized by authorities. Bolsonaro's legal team swiftly countered with a statement insisting he had not breached any previous court order, pledging to lodge an appeal against the ruling. Outside the former president's Brasilia residence, supporters gathered in a show of solidarity, chanting slogans and waving Brazilian flags. The legal showdown between Jair Bolsonaro and Brazil's top court has further polarized the nation. Prosecutors accuse the former president of leading an armed criminal group, plotting to overthrow democratic rule and damaging protected heritage sites. Charges linked to the storming of government buildings in January 2023. If convicted of attempting a coup, Bolsonaro faces up to 12 years in prison. Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who ordered Bolsonaro's house arrest, warned,
"The court will not allow a defendant to make a fool of it, thinking he will go unpunished because he has political and economic power. Justice is blind, but it is not foolish. The court will defend itself from those who believe they are above the law."
The turbulence in Brazil's judiciary has also had international repercussions, especially with the United States. The ongoing prosecution of Bolsonaro has ignited a diplomatic row with the administration of US President Donald Trump. Moraes, who is overseeing the trial, has himself become a target of sanction measures imposed by Washington. Last month, the US government accused Moraes of arbitrary detentions that violate human rights, prompting the Brazilian president and his allies to mount a spirited defense of the embattled judge. In response to the Supreme Court's house arrest order, the US State Department issued a pointed condemnation, posting,
Justice Moraes, now a US-sanctioned human rights abuser, continues to use Brazil's institutions to silence opposition and threaten democracy. Putting even more restrictions on Jair Bolsonaro's ability to defend himself in public is not a public service.
During a fiery address from the Workers' Party headquarters, President Lula da Silva decried Washington's actions and reiterated Brazil's pursuit of integration within international groups like BRICS, aiming to reduce dependency on the US dollar. Lula voiced his frustration, saying,
We have size, we have posture, we have economic and political interests to negotiate. I will not give up on the idea that we must work to create an alternative currency so we can trade with other countries. I do not need to remain subordinate to the dollar. I'm not saying this just now. In 2004, we did this with Argentina.
He went on to lambast the US for treating Brazil like a banana republic and attributed the new tariffs to the political lobbying of Bolsonaro's son. Lula's government has also formally rebuked the US sanctions on Justice Moraes. In solidarity with the Supreme Court judge, Lula asserted,
The goal is to scare those who think they own the world. How can a country that until yesterday was treated like a banana republic now come forward speaking firmly, saying it needs to create a trade currency so as not to depend entirely on the dollar? How can a country dare to challenge, the great power? We do not want to challenge anyone. We just want to say, let me through, let me through. That is all.
The intensifying standoff has seen both countries trading sharp rhetoric and policy measures. Trump, for his part, has championed Bolsonaro as an unjustly persecuted ally, writing on social media,
Jair Bolsonaro was not guilty of anything. He is a strong leader who truly loved his country.
Trump publicly backed Bolsonaro by releasing a letter he had sent the former Brazilian president. In it, Trump criticized the legal proceedings against Bolsonaro, saying,
I have seen the terrible treatment you are receiving at the hands of an unjust system turned against you. This trial should end immediately.
As Bolsonaro's legal battle unfolds, the consequences are being felt far beyond Brasilia's courtrooms, impacting Brazilian society, reverberating through the diplomatic corridors of Washington and Brasilia, and even challenging the foundations of global trade and multilateral alliances. How Brazil and the international community navigate the confluence of law, politics, and foreign policy will shape the country's democratic future for years to come.